Today, we are going to talk about one of the most shocking and confusing cases in recent memory, the story of a man known as the founder of the Black Shark movement, a powerful and frightening figure named Diddy. His name has been connected to rumors, scandals, and dark stories for years, but what truly surprised everyone was the result of his latest trial. Despite all the accusations, evidence, and testimonies against him, Diddy walked out of the courtroom a free man. His release shocked lawyers, victims, journalists, and even celebrities. The internet exploded with disbelief, memes, and theories. Everyone was asking the same question: how could this happen? To understand, we must go back to the beginning of the trial. It started on May 5th in New York City. The list of charges was long and serious: running a criminal organization under the RICO Act, human trafficking, kidnapping, violence, drug distribution, and transporting people for illegal and immoral purposes. These were not small accusations. Many experts predicted that if he was found guilty, Diddy could spend the rest of his life behind bars. The case seemed clear. There were videos, messages, witnesses, and years of stories from people who had worked with him. But the result was completely different from what most people expected. The secret to Diddy's victory was his defense team. He hired some of the best lawyers in the country, people who specialize in turning hopeless cases into victories. Leading the team was Brian Steele, a famous defense attorney known for his skill in confusing juries and finding weak points in any case. This team built a strategy not just to defend Diddy, but to completely destroy the credibility of the prosecution and its witnesses. One of the key witnesses in the case was Cassie, a woman who had previously worked with Diddy and who claimed to be one of his main victims. Her testimony was emotional and detailed, and many people believed she would be the reason Diddy went to prison. But the defense team attacked her story piece by piece. They showed old recordings, emails, and even contracts that suggested Cassie was not always a victim, that she had also been involved in organizing some of the same events she accused Diddy of running. They argued that she accepted money and gifts, and that her motivation was not justice, but revenge and profit. This argument planted enough doubt in the minds of the jury to weaken her entire testimony. The defense also used the law itself as a weapon. To prove the RICO charge, the prosecution had to show that Diddy led a structured criminal organization, not just that he did bad things, but that he managed a network of people committing crimes together. That's a very high legal standard, and the defense knew it. They focused on breaking the link between Diddy and the people working around him. They said, yes, bad things may have happened, but that doesn't mean there was a formal criminal organization. It was a smart and technical move, and it worked. The prosecution tried to present several types of evidence: video recordings from hotels, messages from phones, and testimonies from other witnesses, including famous names from the music industry. But the defense questioned every single piece. They said some videos were illegally obtained, some messages were edited, and others were too old to be used because of the statute of limitations, the rule that stops old crimes from being judged after a certain number of years. In many cases, these arguments succeeded, and the court refused to allow the jury to see some of the most damaging materials. As the trial continued, the public followed every session online. News channels and podcasts covered every word said in the courtroom. Diddy's expressions, his expensive suits, and even his body language became topics of discussion. He stared at the jury in silence for long moments, and his attitude created both fear and fascination. Some people believed he was confident because he knew the system would protect him. When the day of the verdict finally arrived, the atmosphere in court was tense. Reporters filled the hallway, victims waited nervously, and social media was ready for the announcement. Then came the shock. Not guilty for the RICO charge, not guilty for human trafficking, only a smaller conviction on a lesser charge related to transporting people for immoral acts. Diddy was officially free. Outside the court, reactions were mixed. Some people screamed in anger, others stood silent in disbelief. Memes and videos spread online within minutes, some joking about the system being broken, others showing sadness for the victims who spent years fighting for justice. But that was not the end. Only a few days after the verdict, something strange happened. Maureen Comey, a federal prosecutor who had worked on several high-profile cases, including parts of the Epstein files, was suddenly removed from her position. She was also linked to Diddy's case. Her dismissal made people wonder if there was something bigger behind the scenes: political pressure, influence, or deals made in the background. It was never confirmed, but the timing raised many eyebrows. For many, this was proof that Diddy's power and connections went far beyond the courtroom. When we look at the case as a whole, several lessons appear. First, even the strongest evidence can fail if the defense is skilled enough. Lawyers like Brian Steele know exactly how to find weak spots in the law and use them to their client's advantage. Second, legal truth and moral truth are not always the same. A person can be found not guilty in court and still be responsible for terrible actions. Third, money and influence can shape justice in ways most people don't understand. The richer and more powerful you are, the more likely you can buy time, talent, and protection. This case reminded everyone how fragile justice can be when it faces power. Many victims said they would continue to fight outside the courts, using their voices to share what happened. Others chose to disappear from the public eye, tired of the pressure and attacks they received online. Whatever happens next, one fact remains clear: Diddy is free, and that freedom has changed the way people see the justice system forever. In conclusion, this story is not just about one man. It's about how far influence can reach, how easily truth can be twisted, and how money can silence pain. The court made its decision, but that doesn't mean the story is over. Behind every legal battle, there are lives, memories, and people who still wait for real justice. Stay aware, stay informed, and remember, not everything decided in court equals the truth. See you in the next video.